Here we go, once again, pushing into Serbia. Serbia raising up a lot more men. Georgia, Georgia sensing weakness, perhaps. This is not as large an army as it was arrayed against them earlier. Karaman staying rather far back. If I'm Georgia right now, I'm thinking, yeah, let me in there. There's no forts in Karaman's Iraqi holdings, so if they could crush in there, and they are looking like they're going to be on their way. I like to see the force march.
They have. The thing is that for Georgia, they have the freedom here to pick where they want to fight. They can just harass and keep these troops tied down over here. They're doing their faction a big favor.
Absolutely. They just strike when they need to, but they're not going to just keep these troops tied down. I suspect this might be a stack wipe from Jerusalem. Georgia has some extremely good troops. That's farmlands. This is a 4-4 general, also versus a 4-4. No maneuver advantage. Karaman's men still not moving.
If they go now, Karaman has either not seen it or is choosing not to engage. If he defeats this Jerusalem army, they take a long time to get there, though.
They're not going to get there in time. I mean,
big morale hits for Jerusalem.
They're 3 months away.
More reinforcements.
No, Jerusalem has the superior army, but there it goes.
Gone, and now, like they have the strength to destroy Karaman's troops.
They do. If Karaman wants to commit in, which they clearly don't, look at them backing off again. This really, like I said, pretty much a Cold War. No one allowed to advance into each other's territory. Looking like what's going to develop there now. Looking at Ruthenia, which player could threaten Ruthenia if there wanted to be some treachery right now? Not really any.
Well, Gujarat, Russia.
Wait a minute, Gujarat, friends with Georgia, actually bordering Ruthenia via their Nogai subjects. A Gujarat declaration on Ruthenia could be the death knell for this Eastern Alliance. By the way, chat. You type first the name for this alliance and secondly the name for this alliance. I want to see what you think we should call them. We've got obviously the Crusaders and the Defenders. We've got the Italians and the Easterners. We've got what should we call them? Ireland has joined. Ireland joined on the Catholic side. Nice.
Yeah, okay. Got a back-wing cause. Get their share of the spoils.
The Alpine versus the Bosphorus. I like that, going with the very geographical. Ireland not adding a huge amount to this, but some ships, and it's a 56,000. It's a perfectly respectable army. That's very nice. Ooh. Milan just sharing a screenshot with us. They do have the the Jerusalem flagship currently captured on their side. I love it. You love to see it.
Jerusalem also now has problems with Malnik separatists.
Oh, God. Bad ones, indeed. That's going to force them to... they don't have the army present to deal with that. I guess Karaman is going to go and help out with that. Battle drawing lines once again being drawn over that Hum fort, going in for the mountain fort fight there as they deploy. We'll see whether they have the troops, but they don't have the numbers. Even with a +2, I can't see them pulling this out. Look at that morale disadvantage. They do have the godly general and the -2, but...
So the question is, it looks really strongly now like the Pope is going to win. Is Prussia going to intervene?
It's true. That is the question on everyone's lips right now. We know that Prussia, not just Prussia, Russia, Hanover, Netherlands.
Yeah.
If you're going to bring the hammer down, the problem is, and maybe chat can remind us on this, what are the treaty obligations? What is Prussia not allowed to do right now? Because I believe they're not allowed to get involved in this war. I suspect some of those non-aggression pacts are going to be preventing serious engagement in this war right now. I don't think Ruthenia wants to be taking a second fight. Sorry, go ahead.
If they allow the Pope to win this war and they allow the Pope to gain all this power, that's a fundamental shift in the balance of power in Europe. Prussia does not want to have a really powerful Pope, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Dominating much of this Serbian land.
You have to imagine. It's really looking tough. Will Ethiopia attack Jerusalem? It's a good question. They've so far been very passive towards other players, Ethiopia.
Yeah. The Indian faction and Kilwa are the other two big unknowns here. They've stayed well out of it, and also Russia.
Look at this. Ruthenia, you really didn't want to take that second fight. They're going to lose this one. I know it looks like it's going against them, but I suspect with the amount of reinforcements that are available to the Italian side. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, crushing victory over there. Jerusalem's manpower really going down the drain. Another 100,000 lost manpower for Milan, but they can afford to take it, and they're really going to come through and win this one, it looks like. Look at that. And they're just about to get that beautiful university admin efficiency from Tech 17, which is really not going to help. Sent packing, keeping that siege of the mountain fort this time. Things really not swaying in their favor. Georgia significantly increased the size of their army, taking full advantage of this moment while the eastern section of the Sunni Orthodox alliance is being driven out. The Eastern hold fast versus the Western heresy. I like it. I like it. Milan is still doing incredibly well. Check the casualties. We are approaching 100,000 casualties just on the Crusader side. That is quite something. Far less casualties on the Jerusalem side of course, because Andalusia pieced out, those casualties have been deducted. So we've got to remember there were a substantial number of Andalusian casualties earlier. Mountain fort fallen. I think that's the only mountain fort, with the exception of this one, which is not a problem because you can envelop it. That's the only mountain fort, and same with this one. Yes, it's a mountain fort, but you come around it and then you siege it. That is the only mountain fort seriously standing in the way of Italian push further into Serbia. Serbia, obviously, underdog last session. Really seems like someone was coming out of it further in, but it looks like now it's turning heavily against them. Georgia pushing forward aggressively for a siege there, but immediately withdrawing again. I think Georgia's going to quietly come out of this war with a nice little bit of extra Iraqi land, solidifying their hold over the Basra node, which you know they want because that's key.
Yeah, really
wealth from the east. Yeah.
So I mean, I think now, I don't see the path unless Prussia and or the Netherlands and or Russia decide to come into the war. I don't see the path now for the Jerusalem faction to win. They do not have the strength.
The thing is that even in a grinding conflict, sure, they've got a lot more sieging to do. The Italians, they've got a long way to go before they can actually get any victory from this war. But they've got the manpower to do it. They've been losing manpower at a significantly faster rate than their opponents. But look at this: not one of their opponents has more than 100,000 manpower.
I think if I'm Serbia at this point, I'm thinking, what kind of peace deal will they accept? Because the longer this goes on, it just means it's more devastation for their lands.
Well, but remember,
it's more casualties, it's more money.
But remember, this is not a war against Serbia. This is a war against Jerusalem.
Well, yeah, but Serbia can separate peace.
Serbia can separate peace, but we'll see. We'll see.
Unless they are holding out for a Prussian or Russian or Dutch intervention.
I think there's possibilities of that. I did just see the Netherlands start typing in the stream chat, but it was sadly not them saying to war. But we'll see. I mean, they're taking these fights. They're not good. They're taking. I mean, they're taking them with whatever advantage they can give themselves, and still losing. They're just outnumbered. They're outnumbered. They're outdevved. They're outmatched. They've got slightly worse armies. At sea, things are a lot more flexible. And remember, of course, if the defenders can hold the sea battle, they can hold the war goal, of Corfu, and they can hold the Bosphorus.
Yeah.
I mean, we have an excellent graphic that has just been prepared by the Game Masters. Please do bring that up on screen. I would love if people could see this. This is the current army size and scope of the alliances. And wow, this map makes it really clear just how divided the world that we live in is. We have split the world. You should be able to see it soon. Don't worry, stream. You will get there. We'll get there. The world has been split between essentially 4 alliances. In the first camp, we have what we're calling roughly the Italians, the Crusaders at the moment: Milan, Papal States, France, Georgia, Ireland. In that block, we can't see. Don't worry. I'm hopeful that we'll get it for you shortly. The Papal States, Milan, Ireland. I mean, you know what they look like. On the other side, we have Andalusia, little treacherous, little pieced out early, not sure about that. Serbia, Karaman, Jerusalem, Ruthenia. Now that's a potent alliance, but they've got worse land, worse trade land, worse dev land, slightly worse armies. They're really struggling.
Separatists and all kinds of problems for Jerusalem now.
And then to cast our gaze slightly wider, we have what we could call the Indian bloc. We've got Ethiopia, Gujarat, Nepal, and of course, remember, Georgia has strong ties to Gujarat in that bloc. And basically, so far, they haven't got that involved. I'm interested to see how they sway the balance of power amongst the main players as they start to get involved, as they start to run out.
Lots of Dutch land now in the East Indies. They filled out quite a lot now. Brunei has been dismembered.
And then speaking of the Netherlands, we have the Northern European bloc. This one I am content to name. We've got Brittany, the Netherlands, Norway, Prussia, Hanover, kind of Russia, but Russia is more loosely tied into that bloc than some of those right in there in the guts. Those are our alliances right now. We've got essentially 4 power blocks, which I love to see, because what 4 power blocks rather than lots of little disparate alliances means is it means intense conflict on a few fronts, and that's what we love to see. We're going to have massive conflicts breaking out between those alliances, and look at this. Look at the numbers here. The war score swaying now in favor of the Pope. Not a huge amount, of course. They're losing that ticking war score, but casualties now topping 1 million on both sides. 1.3 million over here. That's something. That is really something. 300,000 lost to just attrition from the Papal States side. We thought they had more attrition than they needed, more manpower than they needed. They are chunking through it. They've lost half their manpower, although so far, I believe, none of their amazing professionalism. And bear in mind, this is going to make a huge impact on battles. Look at the relative professionalism. You can see that Karaman, Serbia, Jerusalem have been forced to they've bled, basically. They've bled professionalism. They've had to slacken recruitment. They haven't had the fiscal state in order to do things. Oh, I have a stream announcement request from Bratton in the Netherlands, wants to make an announcement on behalf of the Netherlands and the Grand Northern Alliance. I suspect we're about to see an intervention. We're seeing Prussian troops lining up on the Milanese border. Get in here as soon as possible. I would love to see him in here. And
demand the intervention, Prussia.
We would love to hear. It's going to be game changing. This is becoming a stamp. I love it when I look at the chat, by the way, and I see Moobot saying no need to shout to someone who's using caps locks, and I think they're talking to me every time. Hello.
Greetings. The Netherlands, on behalf of the Grand Northern Alliance, would like to claim that we do not wish to see any major dominant power arise in the Mediterranean, and so we are stepping in on behalf of our friends on the eastern banks of the Mediterranean.
Okay, I can see the men. They're moving in. Is this is there going to be some dismantling of the Italian powers, or is this just to make them stop?
This is an intervention. We do not mean to dismantle the Italian powers. We wish to maintain a status quo in the Mediterranean.
I see. And to what extent are you willing to bleed to make that happen? I mean, there's 500,000 manpower I'm seeing for you. There's a lot of manpower on the other side. Is this going all the way?
Yes, Dutch men bleed gold, and we have plenty of that to bleed. So we are willing to go to whatever lengths we have to stop the papal aggression in this area.
My goodness, that is a vast force that I see absolutely storming through northern Austria. There we can see you're pushing into let's call it France as well. Well, I love to see the extra intervention. We always love to see the extra blue flame. Thank you very much for your declaration, and the very best of luck to you.
Thank you.
So the question now becomes, honestly, Europe, it's not a foregone conclusion, but can Milan win this? And is this a pact breach? That's what I want to know. Is this Prussia and the northern people breaking any alliance?
Now it looks really grim for the Pope in Milan, because Prussia, the Netherlands, Hanover, that's hefty. It's a shame Brittany isn't involved anymore.
It's a seriously hefty war that has just been brought down upon them. It's a massive conflict. And they talk about the status quo. Is it the status quo, or did they wait for Serbia to bleed long enough that they thought they could jump on the bandwagon? I mean, they're talking a big game, but
is the path here for Milan and the Pope to siege Serbia down enough that they can hit them out of the war, then be able to turn back north in time to engage and hopefully defeat the Prussians, though I'm not convinced that they have the strength to do that.
The difficulty is that Serbia is only losing by 45% right now. So they could only demand 5 war score in order to actually give a stab hit.
They need to see just a bit more down and be able to get something and just try. Yeah. They need to try and take some of the nations out of the opposing faction because there's too many.
The difficulty.
The Pope is now especially paying for the fact that they didn't stamp it Karaman out of the war.
Yeah. The other difficulty here is that the Northern Germans claim they want status quo, right? If Serbia gets pieced out of this war, that kind of secures status quo, unless they demand a significant amount from Serbia, because what are they going to do? Currently, they're not able to win the war at sea.
Yeah.
It's been very, very close, but they're currently not able to win the war at sea. Are they going to be able to get to Jerusalem some other way? Are they going to get military access from Andalusia? I don't see the path to really crushing them out. The thing is, though, if Serbia goes out, that leaves Georgia a little bit free to run buck wild. I'm not sure if Georgia can 1v1 Karaman Jerusalem, but they might. They certainly might. No major engagements with the Prussians yet. You know that those Space Marines are very concerning. I suspect they will be endeavoring to only take those fights in the mountains. We will see how that goes once those massive fights really begin to kick in. But excuse me, you know that
it's a siege currently, mostly the Prussians. I mean, I think this has to be this is the plan from the moment that they have to try and knock Serbia out of the war.
Yeah,
and then somehow defeat. But now we got French troops engaging near the Prussians on their own, which seems
looks like the Prussians are not going to aid the Hanoverians. They briefly began to move in, but I guess they suspect they weren't going to get there in time. They definitely were, given the Hanoverian reinforcements. But
big defeat there for the Hanoverians. The French must have a huge morale or discipline advantage there. The
first blood goes to the Hanoverians, moving into another mountain tile, but this time much, much better supported by local Prussian reinforcement.
This is a mountain fort, correct?
Yeah, let me just take a quick look. Big sieging over there. It is a mountain fort, so serious advantage there. But look at that. Even with a LAN, France only has 0.5 extra morale over Prussia. I can't see a world in which this fight doesn't go heavily in Prussia's favor. Yes, they've got the -2, but they also have a +3 advantage.
Yeah, they have so many troops that they can reinforce with.
Yeah. I mean, they're only losing 1 point in shock, and they're gaining 1 in fire. There's a lot more damage being done in fire at this stage in the game.
Yes.
We're looking at a lag on my parsec, sadly. Well, there we go. We're looking at a significantly more damage being dealt in the fire phase right now. That's not a fight that France can win. I'm surprised to see them committing more men.
I don't understand why France has taken that fight on their own. They needed to wait for the Milanese and other armies to come out of the Balkans.
I suppose basically what they're doing is just trying to delay capturing these mountain forts long enough that, I mean, what is the game plan against Serbia? I don't know, but clearly they feel the need to continue to commit men against Serbia. Oh, that's not good.
No.
They were allowed to get onto the war goal, which will start a ticking war score against Jerusalem. That's going to heavily motivate a Jerusalem peace out.
Quickly, won't it? So if we look at the... Sorry, I'm on this thing. So it's the 25. It's -25. It's max. That's a 50 war swing, essentially.
Yeah. An immediate 25-point swing, and then obviously ticking towards 50. And Jerusalem, they've got their men here. They're dealing with these constant internal struggles. Georgia, they're just pulling back, going into siege. Pulling back, going into siege. They're playing it. The real thorn in the side play from Georgia is very good to see. And look at this, crushing out Karaman here with the additional reinforcements coming from the south. Prussia is taking a lot of forts up here, but remember, let's take a look at the development map mode. This is not Italian heartland. This is mere 20 development land, and I love the round numbers, by the way. You know they're deving for buildings here. It's really nice play from the Milanese. They're crushing them out of this area, but this is where they need to hit the Italians if they want to hurt them. Honestly, if they could just devastate some of this Italian land, that's a long-term suffering for the Italian economy. But we'll see. We'll see. Is Ireland? Where is Ireland fighting? I'm being asked. They have their men deployed. They're in here. They're in there in Serbia, and they've got a few more doing some actions. That's interesting. Big island conquest now in Mexico. Nice to see. And there it is. Prussia is now deploying down into, let's call this Serbia. So they're seriously deploying now on two fronts. Oh, I don't know about that. I think this is a battle the French might be able to win if those Prussians deploy too heavily down here. The thing is, I think the Prussians might be at a disadvantage.
The French have to go in because they're about to take that fort.
They do. I mean, it's now or never, and it's now. They're moving into to that fort. Oh, they're really not sure about it, are they? Wow, and look at this. The Karaman and Jerusalem troops crossing the Bosphorus right as the battle breaks out. This is a beautiful two-front war. Everyone just duking it out over Serbia right now.
Milan has to find a way of engaging troops away from that fort battle, because if France faces the full might of the Prussians on their own, they will lose. They
will, but look at this. Milan is coming in. I'm not at all convinced that Prussia and the Netherlands can beat the combined forces of Milan, the Pope, and Milan, France, and the Pope over this with a -2 penalty. But remember, again, they have still got a +1, even though they're fighting in the mountains. Look at this. Prussian units trying to block off incoming Milanese reinforcements. Unsuccessfully so far, just not able to move quickly enough. Meanwhile, lost battle for the Bosphorus, haha, hoi plug, and we're looking to continue the conflict up here. Those men moving in now to liberate some of that Serbian territory. There's absolutely no quitting in sight from the Serbian side. They're still cruising in here.
Stab hit them at all? The Serbs?
Serbians. They're at +3 stab, so if they did, it didn't have an effect. They actually have 1,065 admins, so it would take a long time to keep them out. But look at this. This is the battle for the ages. I think a moment ago I said this would go for the Milanese. Look at this. The Prussians are sieging down forts, locking in some of the remaining troops down here if they can take that fort. I think this is going to go for the Prussians. The Prussian discipline, it's only a 12% advantage over the French, but it's pretty darn significant. And, you know, if you can consistently deal 10% more damage. And we were talking about the Milanese manpower. Note that it's now actually higher than the Milanese. The Prussian is. And they've both got that crazy army professionalism. They can both be slackening standards till Kingdom Come. Milanese going south. Oh, you can't win that fight, Milan.
They're going to go for it.
Running. No, they've changed their mind. This is where you want to be. Let's look at the actual casualty numbers. We're looking at double deaths for the. Not that time. Wow, that was a really bad roll. But we'll see. I'm going to keep looking at it from the Milanese perspective because that really gives us the best view of the or the French perspective. I think it's the best view of the war here. Look at
a huge battle coming to an end there between the Prussians and the French.
That is a colossal fight ending here. It's so nearly looking like it's going to go the French's way, but the Prussians just they have the reinforcements they've got.
The fire advantage of the general is crippling the French here.
It's really potent.
So the terrain advantage is being completely negated, and then one in their favor.
Yeah,
he's got a 3 fire advantage at this stage of the game. That's a huge trying to overcome.
And look at that, and on this tick, no poetic it falling on that particular tick, but look at this. This is the turn against Milan and the Papal States. I mean, can you blame them? Look at the players arrayed against them. Their last hope, a Georgia play, knocking out Jerusalem would be a great thing to see, but wow. What a moment to hand over, beginning towards our next set of content streamers. We got some blue flames at the end of our grand session. Josh, takeaways from this session. What's going to come next?
I mean, I can only see that the Prussian faction is going to win this war. The question is, how much are they going to punish the Pope? Are they going to try and cripple the Pope, or are they content to just enforce a status quo and keep things sort of ticking along nicely? That matters. I think the Pope will rue not stab hitting Karaman out of the war. That would have massively freed his hand in the east. And had Georgia been pushing through to siege down places like Constantinople, they may have been able to get...
Or even towards Jerusalem.
Or Jerusalem, yeah. But they've not done that, and now it's really hard to see how the Milanese faction can win, because the Prussians have amazing generals, amazing quality of units, and lots of them.
Yeah, it's certainly quite something. Ben, we are giving you quite the war right here.
Yeah, I've been watching. We had another dozen phony wars, but I think it's paying off now because we got the old Megadeth going on now.
Yes,
absolutely true. And as Long Game Short, the wonderful modder and content creator in chat, just pointed out, they do have the war goal. I mean, it's ticking in their favor, at the moment, but they don't have naval superiority that look like they might. Ben, we're giving you, I mean, this is a heck of a scenario. We've got Georgia doing the thorn in the side plays, keeping the Iraq occupied over there. It's an amazing situation right now. I mean, you've got to imagine Prussia is going to seize Central Austria. That's the
I would imagine. I don't see Prussia going in on this and expecting nothing out of it, especially considering we've had so much status quo for so long. I'd like to see some significant border change.
And meanwhile, the Dutch, who have obviously been involved in this war but not actually committed their troops into the battles, has announced the formation of a new World Bank, a pact on which will be revealed momentarily. So I look forward to seeing what's going to be going on with that.
Excellent. The Iron Bank of Paradox.
Apparently.
So how's the casualties looking so far? Last time I looked, it was 1.8 million.
We're looking at a total of, across both wars, we're looking at 2.9 there, and another 600,000 here, so 3.5 million approximately. Looking at
nice. That's what you want to see. I mean, the last big war was only 1.6 total.
Yeah. Now we're getting into the proper numbers. This is big stuff.
It's pretty crazy. The alliances need to fracture somewhere or the game is already over, says chat. But the thing is, remember, this is not an alliance. This is not a one big alliance. This is two alliances. We have the Great Northern Pact, and we have the Eastern Brethren over here combined against the
Well, the big unknowns here is Russia, who haven't intervened in this war,
it's
and
true.
also the Indian and Kilwa sort of axis.
Yeah, a declaration at this point from Gujarat. Oh, and of course, sorry, I forgot to show you guys this earlier. Deccan has now formed. Ethiopia is no longer Ethiopia. Deccan has formed. And Nepal. Nice, Bengal's formed Nepal.
We had an AI Nepal for a little while. I didn't realize they had been destroyed and then usurped.
We did. It was nice to see. Very rare the AI Nepal, at least in my game.
Jerusalem getting sieged down by Abadi rebels in the middle of this?
Yes, they have
just
been very
separatists everywhere.
We got a lot of separatists. We got a lot of Abadi. We had, and also we've got Georgia moving in, potentially preventing Jerusalem going back to defend. And we also saw some massive Mamluk uprisings, as we have a number of times. But I don't know if it'll be enough. Georgia's got to be speaking to Gujarat. Hey, Gujarat, we signed a pact saying we're friends, right? I mean, if we're friends, we need you in here. We need you getting in and helping us fight.
Like we might have an important seat. Oh, yep, there it goes. Another fort fallen.
This means there's now only one solitary fort between Milan losing all of their beautiful prosperity in a lot of this central area. If Friuli falls, the enemy... Oh, no, sorry, actually... Oh, that's nice.
There's a number of forts in there that could assist them.
But the thing is that you could siege Pavonia, you could siege Verona, you could siege Ferrara. That kills the prosperity in two of their best states just from that. But yes, they will also have to get through Trento. So there's a slight slowdown there at least, but we'll see. Okay,
well, I think it's about time that we hand over to you, Ben, and Grugi.
And Grugi.
Continue this madness.
Thank you very much for being with us so far. So long.
Someone is saying Russia. Has Russia joined?
Russia's in on something, yeah.